triangles, we're going to do medians, we're going to do some angle bisectors, and what they do to the triangle, and then sometimes what they do to the angles and stuff. For Zane and Trinity, make sure you get whatever lessons you need. If you're quarantined, you need to send me pictures of what you're working on. Lessons, Zane's been doing that. I sent a bunch back to him last night, so he's working on corrections. And then I'll get your quiz for you tomorrow, Zane. And I'm trying to think, we'll be back here Wednesday, and I don't know if there's a quiz that day, but I'll get better. This is my first day. I've never had Zoom meeting. I participated in them, but I've never conducted them. And so this is my first day to actually do 6 of them. So it was a little bit crazy this morning getting started because I wanted to hook both of these into that and not have to hook it up like that, but it's actually worked out. But it wasn't what I wanted, but sometimes you just do what you got to do. We're just glad it worked. So in our notes, I used my whiteboard. I use white paper for my board. So in our notes, page 58, I would love to tell you that I'm going to get a test in before Christmas. We've got this week. We're out all of next week. And then we've got 2 weeks before exams. So you've got a lot heavy on you right now. I will not do a test. I will not do a test the week before exams. I just can't do that. I can't do that to you or to myself, and to try to have to grade it. So if we do one, it will be the week after Thanksgiving. I'm looking toward right now just doing lots of quizzes like we normally do, and then just putting some of that material on the exam is where we'll go from it. And I do give, y'all haven't had me before, but I give study guides that are exactly the same type of problems as what's on the exam. So that will, I can make a study guide that is just almost identical to the exam, which makes it easy for you to study. So we said the mid-segment of a triangle. Let me go get a post. By definition, and we'll write it over here, a mid-segment connects any 2 midpoints of the sides of a triangle. We learned in lesson 25 how to find the numerical midpoint, but what it does is these little segments right here are called mid-segments. And so this N is the midpoint of this side of the triangle, and P is the midpoint, so that means these 2, midpoint means it's in the middle, and then this side, M is in the middle of it. So we're going to put all of those segments true. Now, the first thing that you want to be able to know, and it'll ask you in your classwork, is a mid-segment is parallel to a side of the triangle. So if I take this mid-segment NP, well, remember, it's a good review of, I think it was lesson 14 way back. Segment NP is a mid-segment. Now look at your 3 sides of the triangle, and I think it's kind of obvious which side of the triangle that NP is going to be parallel to. And you got to be able to write it correctly too. VU is the side of the triangle that NP, so we use the symbol parallel to segment VU. The sides of your triangle are segments, and then these are called mid-segments. So let's do PM, this little segment right here. PM is going to be parallel to this side, WV. And then the last one is NM, and it's parallel. And if you look at it, you can tell it's going to be parallel to WU. Make sure you use the whole side of the triangle, because even though WNP is a little bitty triangle, we're talking about the big triangle, and then these are the mid-segments of that. Now, the arithmetic to it is that this, I'll go ahead and tell you, if you know this the side of the triangle is going to be double it. Like if this is 10, this is going to be 20. Or if this is 30, that's going to be 15. Now, how do we write that? A midsegment is 1/2 the parallel side, or saying it the other direction, the parallel side is 2 times the midsegment. Now I'm going to give you a very textbook rule for it. And I think it makes sense. But instead of trying to mess with that 1/2 and do fractions, we're going to say the big side is going to be equal to 2 times the little side. And that's all you have to remember. They're just double. It's either double it or divide by 2. So this big one is going to be double that one, or the little one is going to be half of that one as you set it up. But if you set it up as an equation, it works pretty classic. I guess we'll go up here and call this one number 1. We'll call that one number 1. Number 2. And I only need this one and this one. So you just kind of have to eyeball it for the midpoint. We're going to call the triangle ABC. And then we're just going to draw that one. Sometimes they don't draw but one of them. So this is a midsegment. Notice it's parallel to AC, and we're going to call this DE. So in this one, they're going to tell me that DE is equal to 14, and we want to find AC. Just very straightforward. Well, if you look at it, this is the little one, and the big one is just going to be that one times 2. So this one's 28. Now we're going to do another one like that, and then we're going to do an algebra one. And I don't think we're using that as a right angle, so I'm not going to worry about that. This is triangle FGH, and we're going to use the midpoint of FH as J. And I should have marked it, because a lot of times when they're marked like that, they'll do this. They'll mark the midpoint by showing you the congruent segments. And then I is what we're going to call this one, and we'll mark it with 1 mark. And then we'll connect them. So this time, and this is just what you have to be careful with. You got to look at the picture. So they say FG equals 36. They want to know what JI equals. Notice we don't put bars above them when we talk about their number. We haven't done that in a while. So if the big one is 36, then the little one is 1/2 of that, or 2 into 36, ever how you want to do it, and it's equal to 18. So big one, little one. They're always related, either divide by 2 or multiply by 2. Now let's do the algebra problem. And then we're just going to eyeball the midpoint of this one and this one. And the triangle is called JLN. And the midpoints are M and K. So this one is congruent to this one, and this one is congruent to that one. And we need to connect those. Right beside it, I'm going to write big equals 2 times little. And I usually put it in parentheses because usually you're going to be putting it in parentheses. You'll see in just a second. So they're letting JN be 3x minus 2. And they're letting KM be x plus 2. So they're probably going to ask you, let's see, JN equals 3x minus 2. And we may go ahead and find that. So I think I'm going to put a blank there, because some of you still struggle a little bit with that. And then km is x plus 2. We'll find that one. But we definitely need to find x. We can't do either one of them until we find x. So which one's the big one? Jn, which is equal to 3x minus 2. Look, I'm just plugging it in right here. Big equals 2 times the little. Now, you have to put that in parentheses. That's definitely an Algebra 1 concept. We haven't done it in a while, if we've even done it this year, but I would think you know that that's called what? It's called distribute. You got to distribute. Have we done that this year? Yeah. I don't know if we've done. If we do, we don't do it much, but definitely here in these type of equations. I've got 3x minus 2 equals 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 2 is 4. Now, when I move these, I like to move, and most of y'all like to move the 2x. If you want to stay away, move your x's first. It makes for less mistakes. So I get, these are gone, and I have 1x or x minus 2 equals 4. Add 2, and I get x equals 6. Now, if that's all it asks for, you're through. And I don't know what I asked for in your classwork. Sometimes I mix them together. Well, what do I do to find them? Well, you just take the 6 and plug it in for the x. So I'm going to say 3 times 6 minus 2, which is 18 minus 2, which is 16. And you watch, it's going to check itself too, because 6 plus 2 is 8. And look, the little one's 8, the big one's 16. 8 is half of 16. 16 is 2 times 8.